It's Mr. Kelly with Good of the Hood, talking about anything and everything that impacts the culture. And today I kind of want to address some of the surprising response of police forces across the nation. Obviously, with the whole George Floyd police brutality case going on, there are riots and looting and everything going on in cities everywhere in response to this, to the injustice that was done to Mr. Floyd. And but I did want to highlight and acknowledge some of the other things that are going on with the protests also. So the majority of the protests are peaceful. Don't let the media fool you. Obviously, they're only going to show the crazy stuff, right? But they're not. They're only going to show the looting and the rioting and the protest that's not so peaceful. But the vast majority of it is peaceful. But here's the thing. I hear people and see people on social media, and I'm sure you guys are too, and you're getting in debates at work or with family members and people on Facebook and all this, and people are saying this, and the response that I heard from one young lady was like, yeah, that right there. And of course, here's the thing. What was said was this: all this rioting and all this looting is not going to bring George Floyd back. And this young lady's response was, all this rioting and looting may make it to where my brother or my father doesn't end up like George Floyd. Let that sink in. Rioting is the voice of the unheard. If you recall, we tried peaceful protest. In fact, it always starts off with peaceful protest. Here's a little fun fact. Dr. Martin Luther King, was assassinated in 1968. Excuse me. Yes, 1968. He was assassinated in 1968. After his death, immediately after his assassination, 110 cities nationwide erupted in riots. 6 days later, the Civil Rights Act was signed. Now, what does this tell you? Dr. King was protesting racial inequality for years up until his assassination. And little to no change had occurred. Nothing had changed. However, after he was assassinated, and 110 cities erupted in chaos, now all of a sudden some change occurred. Just something to take note of. I'm not saying that there should be the rioting and looting, but let's face facts, man. Things don't change without destruction. I mean, that's just how it is. Civil disruption results, if executed properly, typically in the change desired. You think that we're all allowed to vote? Women are allowed to vote? Blacks are allowed to vote, allowed to read, without there have been some type of disturbance? No, it just doesn't happen. It's just a fact of the matter. Malcolm X probably summed it up best when he says, the price of freedom is death. And although I don't want any of the protesters, and for that matter, I don't want the police to die either, right? I mean, except for maybe the guilty ones, but I'm not perfect, but that's what I'm just saying. At the end of the day, any reasonable human being wants justice, right? But I wanted to also acknowledge some things that I've seen take place over America, and that is a number of police individuals, whether they're policemen, police chiefs, and the like, actually waking up a little bit here, right? In Miami was a big one. Miami Police Department, the police came out, no riot gear, no batons, none of that, and they took a knee in front of the protesters. This also happened in Kansas, and in some other places, I know, like in Denver, Colorado, and a couple other places. Police chiefs are coming out arm in arm walking with protesters, kneeling with protesters, hugging protesters. This is how you heal a hurt nation. Now, it's just the beginning, but we gotta acknowledge the good that occurs when it occurs. And so I salute those police departments and those individuals on both sides that have the temperament and humanity to just treat each other like human beings. You know, the irony is, I've seen quite a number of policemen taking a knee. But when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, I think it was 3 years ago, oh man, that was front page news. He's taking a knee on football fields during the national anthem. It's disrespectful to our veterans. He's so unpatriotic. Even when he said and explained that it's for police brutality. And in fact, he wanted to sit down at first, but I want to say a Green Beret or Army Ranger, his name was Nate Boyd, I believe. I will look that up and make sure I post that. He was the gentleman, white military guy, that told him, hey, look, man, sitting down during the national anthem is that's disrespectful. Why don't you go ahead and take a knee? Because we take a knee for fallen soldiers. And I'll stand during the national anthem next to you while you take a knee. And he did that. And even though that had occurred, Colin Kaepernick still caught hell this whole way. So it's ironic. See how this comes full circle, how the brother was taking a knee to bring attention to police brutality, and nobody took him serious. And now, because of what has recently happened, now you have policemen even taking a knee, addressing that very same issue. That's crazy, right? To be honest, I think something's going to happen. I think some change is going to occur. This one feels different, right? This incident with George Floyd feels different. He's not the first black man to be killed innocently or wrongfully by the hands of the police. He's not the first, right? I've mentioned this in other videos. Whether it's Mike Brown, whether it's young Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Philando Castro, I don't want to mess up his name, but some other names come to mind, but you understand what I'm saying. But this one feels different, right? Black Lives Matter movement started a few years ago, and unfortunately we're not strangers to these innocent killings. This one feels different, man. And I think some change is going to happen. I just saw on the news today, it's like in South Korea, Germany, and a couple other countries, they're protesting also because of police brutality in America. Let's look at that. Other countries are protesting to support the police brutality issue that's going on here in America. That speaks volumes. And then we have a president that's gaslighting. And I think the perfect storm had just occurred. We've had a lot of things. There was the brother that was bird watching in New York, I believe in Central Park. And, that white lady, Karen came out there and was calling the police saying that he was trying to harm her. And he was like, nah, I just want you to leash your dog. And so it brought more attention to that. And that's been a big issue with how that's been going on. And there's just been a lot of stuff that's going on. And I think between that, the pandemic, the current administration, and enough being enough, this being the straw that breaks the camel's back, I believe there's going to be some change. I hope there's going to be some change, but I really do. This one just feels different. I think everyone can agree with that it just feels different, right? And so I'm hoping to see some good things come out of this. What's disheartening is at this stage of the game, we still have people out there that just don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? They just can't get past themselves. They just can't get past the fact that this is a big enough issue that it's come to this. But there's always going to be those individuals. There's always going to be the naysayers, and it's a new day. It's a new era. Look, I hope it doesn't turn into another civil war. I hope it doesn't turn into something crazy. They're talking about various cities have curfews now and all this kind of thing. and I hope it doesn't turn into another civil war. This is a new generation. Today's black community is not the same community of the 1950s and 1960s, even the 1970s, right? This generation now, this millennial generation, this Gen Z generation, they not, if they get fired up, they not playing that. There's no wearing a fedora and a nice suit and marching, holding a sign saying I am a man. If they get fired up, and even my generation, right, Gen Xers, we're tired, just tired, bro. And if things really get wild and get crazy, it's gonna be wild and crazy, right? So I don't want it to get to that point. I hope it doesn't. I want everybody out there to be safe. I absolutely am an advocate for change. And I applaud those individuals that are protesting, and I applaud those police officers where the scales have been lifted off their eyes and they see, and they're doing more than just talking, and they're choosing humanity over the blue coat and protecting other cops. So salute to them for sure. But for now, this is Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood, and until next time, peace.